The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Yesterday was one of the most shocking days in the history of the Jets franchise. So what will happen today? We'll talk about the latest on the aftermath of Robert Saleh firing Davante Adams and much more. Robby Sabo joins us in his weekly spot. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season.
Joe, I am not messing with you with what I'm about to say. Adam Schefter is reporting the Jets have just fired Robert Saleh.
Wow! We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Well, what a day it was yesterday. What will happen today? Welcome in, everybody. It is indeed the Jake Asman Show. I want to shout out to all the Jet fans. Shout out to the audience. Yesterday was the highest viewed day in the history of this show. I've been doing this since January of 2021, which is kind of fitting because that's when the New York Jets hired Robert Saleh as their head coach. So if you're new to the show, welcome. We gained more subscribers yesterday than any day in the history of the program. So please join us each and every day as we talk all things New York Jets. Subscribe and like the video. It helps this channel continue to grow. And of course, a reminder, if you don't already know, you can get this show you're watching on YouTube in audio form via podcast on either Apple Podcast or Spotify. So check it out by searching Jake Asman on either platform. Joining us right now in his weekly spot is the co-founder of JetsXFactor.com, Jets analyst, Jets insider, Jets reporter, Robby Sabo joins us. Hello, Robby. Anything big happened in your life yesterday that you were following?
A couple things, but love the stash. That got to lead with that. Love the stash.
I appreciate it. It was supposed to be for Carlos Rodon on Monday, Austin Wells, John Birdie, and then the Yankees went out there and, well, they do what they normally do in the playoffs. They don't hit, and they lost.
Judge, man. What's your panic meter on Judge?
He's got to come. He's got to come through, man. I mean, he's been on base 3 times in 2 games, which is not bad, but he's got to hit. I mean, he's got to hit for power. Now, I'll say this. Probably the team that benefited the most from the Jet wildness yesterday was the Yankees. No one's talking about the Yankees after that debacle Monday night because Robert Saleh gets fired just after 10 a.m. 24 hours ago.
Yeah, there's so many angles, so many thoughts. I mean, despite the chaos, because it has to be labeled as chaotic. 5 games in, there's no other way around it. It's chaotic. Woody didn't hire Saleh. He had lukewarm feelings towards him beforehand. But despite all the chaos, to me, it's the right move. There's no question about it. We've talked about Saleh for years now. I think he has positive attributes, personnel, communication, certain things, trying to build the right culture. I just don't think it matches with today's strategy-driven, out-scheming the opponent type mindset of today's NFL. So in that vein, yeah, Jets fans are still, on suicide watch with Hackett running the offense and Carter in there entrenched in the run game. But Ulbrich can. See, the head coach, it's not just about offense and defense. The head coach is the boss for the weekly vibe, the game plan, what you're trying to do this weekend. And that accounts the offense. So if Ulbrich has the goods, we're going to see changes on the offense, and we're going to see it right away.
I completely agree. And look, the Jets don't often deserve the benefit of the doubt. So nationally, they're going to get slammed. And it does look chaotic. But if you've been following this team, the whole premise of this season was built around the fact that Saleh has never had the quarterback. He's never had this much talent. And when it starts to look exactly like it's looked with Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian, Joe Flacco, Mike White, Josh Johnson, whoever you want to name, when it continues to look the same as it's always been, it's better to make this move now than to wait until you're 2-4, 2-5, and then do it. People say there's never been an interim head coach that's taken a team to the playoffs. It's a bit misleading from this standpoint. One, John Gruden, while technically resigned, he was fired. And they were 3-2 when he was fired. And then they made the playoffs with Rich Bisaccia as the intern head coach. So it's kind of a technicality there. And two, there's never really been an intern head coach that's had this much talent in Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. So it's a very unique situation, just like Woody making this decision now is unique because he's never done it in season with a coach in 25 years since owning the team. It's why I think, well, ultimately, this is a move that if it was this short of a leash, should have been made last January. Doing it now is better than not doing it at all. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and I don't put any stock into the historic stats of making the playoffs with an interim head coach. And the reason is this. 99% of the time, when that move is made, the team is not looking towards that season. The objective isn't that season anymore. And football is different than hockey and baseball and basketball. You could make an in-season change in those sports, especially hockey, and still have a goal towards that season. Football, it's usually not the case. You hang around with a guy. I mean, I call it chaotic, mainly because of the media, and the media calls it chaotic based on their polarization of offense versus defense. Hey, defense is great, offense. So it's kind of their making, but Woody, think about this. This is the first time Woody has ever fired a coach in season. That's an incredible thing to think about. In 2 decades and a half, 25 years. So to that end, again, I think it's the right move, and Jets fans just have to have their fingers crossed and hope that Ulbrich has an eye, has a feel, and a brain for the modern NFL. And if he does, I really expect good things.
Let's get to a statement that was put out right before our show this morning, Robby, from the former head coach of the New York Jets, Robert Saleh. I will put it up on the screen. It's a little tough to see because of the print via Twitter. But Saleh did release a statement, very classy statement. It reads as follows. To the Jet organization, I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to work with so many incredible people. I will always be appreciative of the love and support from everyone at One Jets Drive. To all the players, I truly love and appreciate every single one of you. The character of the men in the locker room made coaching you guys the ultimate privilege. Through all the ups and downs, each and every one of you showed up every day and attacked every moment. To my fellow coaches and staff, it has been an honor to work with all of you. Every one of you were all in and made sacrifices for one another. That will never be forgotten. I wish you all the best of luck for the remainder of the season. To the most passionate fan base in the NFL, thank you for embracing my family. It has been a pleasure calling New York our home, and we will forever appreciate all the memories that were created here. With love and regard, all gas, no break. So Saleh ends his statement the same way he started his tenure as the Jet head coach. Classy statement from Saleh. Obviously, we know he's a great guy, great person, phenomenal defensive coach. If he wants to be a DC this offseason, he'll get a job in 5 minutes. But he wasn't a good head coach. And I don't say that, being like, this is awesome, this is great. But, I wish him all the best. Obviously, there's a human side to all this. He's a good guy. Just it wasn't the right fit. And it became clear the longer this went on, I don't know if they were going to be able to get out of it. It felt like we were at a crossroads in the season. And I give Woody Johnson credit for doing this now.
Yeah, on a personal level, I mean, nothing bad to say about Saleh. His family, the way he handles his business, the way he respects others, all good stuff. Not a bad word could be said. But this is the NFL. He'll be fine. He's a big boy. He's paid well. He'll land on his feet. Trust me.
He'll be paid by the Jets through next year, too. So he's going to do okay here.
Yeah, and for everyone saying Woody's, pinching pennies, this is Exhibit A. Like, he's going to pay this guy next year and fired him. A couple things that Woody, his statement that this is the most talented team we've ever had, it's arguable based on what Mangini and Mikey T assembled in 2008, 2009, 2010. But the fact that he said it so matter of fact leads me to believe he likes Douglas. That's one. But I
think Douglas comes out of yesterday with more job security than I think a lot of us realized.
100%. Like I mean, and I'm cool with that. I think Douglas has done a great job, but I think he and Rodgers eventually realized that, we were idiots. We were stubborn. I mean, you got to look at Rodgers. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. The confidence it takes to get to that level is immense. And you walk around thinking you could overcome anything. You could defy anything and you could make anything work. And I really think, and this is just my opinion, there's no fact here. Woody said it was all on him. And what else is he going to say if it's not all on him? He has to take the bullet, because if you tell the truth to the media, it's even worse. But I think Douglas and Raj, I think this was sure. I'm sure Woody needed to make a change too, wanted to, but I'd be shocked if this was only Woody and the football operations not being involved.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. We're talking all things Jets with Robby Sabo in his weekly spot the day after the New York Jets axed Robert Saleh 5 games in to the season. A game out of first place. They win on Monday night, Robby. The New York Jets are in first place with a head-to-head win over, to me, the only team that you truly are competing with in the division. Miami doesn't have a quarterback. New England's in a rebuild. Everything is right in front of the Jets, which makes this situation so unique. I want to get into some of what Ulbrich said yesterday about changes to the offense. He didn't say he was going to make changes to the staff. I wouldn't expect anyone to be fired, but this was Ulbrich being asked about potentially changing the play caller.
Jeff, Woody was talking to us a little bit ago about changes potentially, just changes in general for the offense. I was wondering if you could talk at all about your plans for the play caller, because you have Todd there who's done it. You have Nate who has been doing it. Do you know who's going to call plays for you?
I've got tremendous respect for this offensive staff. I do. Every single guy on it. In the next couple days, in my opinion, these guys are going to be here on Monday Night Football for us, and they're gonna do an amazing job. Saying that, in the next, this has been 4 hours fresh for me to take this role on. Everything will be assessed, the process, the responsibilities, etc. But I do not foresee any changes in the staff.
So no changes in the staff, Robby, but there was a report yesterday that came out that before Saleh found out he was getting fired, he was demoting Hackett, wasn't firing him, but was going to promote Todd Downing from pass game coordinator to the play caller. I still think that's going to happen. I think it's one of those things that just makes too much sense. If you're going to already make the move with Saleh, you have to make the move with Hackett, who to me, while Saleh has his issues, Hackett is still obviously a major problem with this team. What are your thoughts on that?
Agreed. Major problem. You look at the offense, unimaginative, standstill. And worse, this is the worst part. The procedure, the operation is too slow. I know Rodgers wants to see things pre-snap and scan the field, but it gets down to one far too often, and they're not tight. But it's when you look at the Saleh regime, one of the constants has been bad offense, good defense, right? Really wasn't that way the first year. The defense was awful. Everyone wanted Ulbrich gone that first year. I think the bigger constant than offense, defense has been slow starts, awful starts, even for the defense. You could pick any game. Minnesota, they were getting run on. Chiefs last year, awful first quarter defensively. Then they picked it up in game adjustments. So I think Ulbrich, the power to game plan on a more opponent specific level will help everything. Not just the defense, not just special, everything. Offense, the feel, the strategy, what everyone's mentality is going into that game. If you look at Flores, I did a film review on one play, just one play, the first play of the game against Minnesota. What is Flores? He's aggressive. He stacks the box. He comes after you. What do the Jets do on the first play? Scripting the first 15 plays or whatever it is. 12 personnel, condensed, a power. They sent Harrison Smith. They sent another linebacker. Blocked actually decently well at the point of attack. Not great, but decently well. And you only get 1 yard because the numbers are just too much. That's a game planning thing. It's not just offense. It's a game planning thing. So I think that's the biggest impact Ulbrich could have, and it will help everything. But I agree with you, Jake. I don't know if Hackett's going to remain the play caller.
I don't think he should, honestly. And I know Aaron Rodgers is going to speak on McAfee today, and we'll go live at some point this afternoon and react to what he says. But it looked like Rodgers was finally fed up with Hackett. When he's going like this, you see, trying to get the plane quicker. Hackett, to me, could still be involved in the offense during the week. He could help put together the game plan, but change the play caller, man. It can't be worse. And that's my big thing with Saleh as well. I'm not sitting here saying that he's the cause of all their issues, but there's just no way it could be worse. This team has been poorly coached now, and I was willing to give Saleh this year because I never thought he was going to get fired once Rodgers got hurt on the opening play of the year, and they still ended up winning 7 games. So now that we're at this kind of crossroads in the season, Everything should be on the table because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's not going to change unless you make changes.
Yeah, it comes back to the arrogance, the stubbornness of great players. They think they could do anything, Rodgers being one of them. And it's incumbent on Hackett and whoever's calling the plays and Ulbrich now to say, hey, I get it. Be you. Keep doing that, but we're going to put you in a better spot. So there has to be, listen, a guy like Rodgers, a leader like that, even more so with him because he's more unique and edgy. He's going to respect the dudes that stand up to him and tell him, hey, shut the hell up. Listen to me. This is the right way to go. If you like getting your ass kicked and your knee almost torn up, then do your thing. But we're going to put you in a better spot. And I am banking on Ulbrich being that guy who could put his finger right in Aaron Rodgers' chest and say, shut the hell up.
And really give him a good push, as we know he's capable of doing.
2 hands.
Yeah.
Boom. Like seriously, that's what has to happen. You can't. And I don't know Ulbrich personally. I mean, I know as much as you guys do, but I think that's the order of the day starting this week. Now, this weekend from Monday night, it's hard to predict what happens. I could see them winning. I could see it being a disaster based on everything changing over in a week. It's not easy to pull off. But I do have confidence in Ulbrich from a game planning and a communication accountability standpoint.
Yeah, I just think when you look at it, if Ulbrich can kind of get this team to play with more energy, start faster, then he's already making improvements, hold guys accountable. Like, I just think the respect he commands from the entire team is notable. And the standard he holds the defense to is clear. This defense has remained elite with no Jermaine Johnson. CJ Mosley hasn't played since the first quarter of week 2. Michael Carter didn't play at all in this game on Sunday against a Vikings offense that was rolling coming in. Sauce has been in and out of the lineup twice so far this season. You look at the defensive line depth, it's not there anymore with no Huff, JFM, no Reddick, which we'll get to. You look at all these things and the defense has remained elite. Why is that? Coaching and accountability. And if some of that could rub off offensively now, there's no reason why this team can't be a lot better. And you're not asking this offense to go out there and be, the greatest show on turf, but they got to be able to score at least 23 points per game. If they do that with this defense, they're still going to win a lot. Like, the path how we envision this team winning games is still there at 2-3 with first place on the line Monday night.
No, for sure. And, there's only 17 games. Every game is so precious in the league. And there's only about 60 plays per game, too. Every play is so precious. Every drive is so precious. So, you come out with the mindset on offense and defense, throw defense in there. But think about offense the last 2 weeks against 2 of the best defenses, 2 of the more aggressive defenses in the league. You're very ordinary. And I'm not talking about pass run. It's not just about pass run. It's about different concepts. It's about tempo. It was a terrible plan from the start against both Denver and Minnesota. But rewind 3 weeks against New England. What did they do on offense to come out? Up tempo, no huddle, spread it out. Defense, they blitzed right from the get-go, stunned Brissett and the Pats. So it's that stuff. You got to get to a place where you make other teams think, okay, the Jets are coming to town. How do we game plan against them? Because with them, we have to expect the unexpected. And right now, every team that plays the Jets gets exactly what they expect. And change that, and then you'll get rolling.
If you want to change how you sports bet, let me tell you right now about a brand new sponsor, baby. Odds Jam has signed on to be a part of our show. Let me tell you all about Odds Jam, because I think if you're a sports bettor like I am, you're certainly going to benefit from using Odds Jam. Odds Jam is a sports betting software platform that helps users identify profitable betting opportunities across multiple sports books by analyzing real-time odds and markets. It provides tools and insights for betting strategies, including arbitrage betting, positive expected value, that's what's called EV bets, trust me, and live betting optimization. Users can leverage automated alerts, odds comparisons, and advanced analytics to make informed decisions. So I'm going to basically break it all down for you right now. You sign up for Odds Jam, and they're going to tell you exactly what to bet and offer you the best possible ways for you to win money. It's a great software, and I'm offering a discount with code Asman with the link I have in the description for this video. You'll save 35% off their subscription, plus enjoy a 7-day free trial. I'm telling you, I had never heard of Odds Jam. Then they reached out. I was talking with one of their guys. He's a huge Jets fan, oh, by the way. And then I started using OddsJam, and they make it as easy as possible for you to sports bet and have the greatest chance of winning money. It's an awesome, awesome software. I cannot recommend it enough. I'm thrilled they're partnering with this channel. So once again, oddsjam.com, promo code Asman. Try the 7-day free trial, and if you like it, you'll then get 35% off your subscription. Once again, shout out to OddsJam for being a part of our show. If you're a sports fan, if you're a sports bettor, if you're trying to get into it, this is the software, the app, the program for you. Once again, oddsjam.com, promo code Asman when you sign up. All right, Robby, let's get into Woody's comments yesterday about Hassan Reddick. I'm going to play them for you, and then I want your take on what it possibly means.
Hi, Woody. Please indulge me for one
Rich.
more.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit off base here with apologies, but what is your take on why the Hassan Reddick situation has not worked out?
Rich, I would rely on you for this. This is something I've never seen before, and you've got even more years than I have. And I know I don't think any of us have seen anything like this. So I think you have to be part psychologist and part some other to try to figure out what is actually going on. I think, I hope that the young man can come to the team. We'd like to have Assam here. We'd welcome him with open arms. And, I will extend that. And I haven't talked to Jeff, but I think he would feel exactly the same way. So when he gets here, he'll find a very welcome locker room, and he'll be able to fit right in, but he's got to get here first. So, Assam, get in your car, drive down 95, and come to the New York Jets, and we can meet you and give you an escort right into the building, and you'll fit right in, and you're going to love it here, and you're going to feel welcome, and you're going to accomplish great things with us.
All right, Robby.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick should probably drive up 95, not down. But besides the point, what did you make of Woody's comments there?
Yeah, Woody's probably the same guy who says, "Hey, come into Long Island instead of on Long Island." I love how he casually calls Rich old too. Hey, you got many more years than I do. I think the good thing, he doesn't know what's happening. Which, if you're a Jets fan, that's a really good thing. That means he's letting Douglas take care of business, because nothing about his response was measured. It was kind of he was searching for the right words, and I think overall the message was solid. Hey, we're going to embrace you, we'll welcome you, but the psychologist part, he's confused, he's befuddled, and that leads me to believe Douglas is the maestro here.
Douglas, I think, actually comes out of yesterday, as we alluded to at the top, with
very well
way more job security than we realized, because of what he's coming out saying. It's the most talented team he's had in 25 years owning the team. That tells me, with Ulbrich now, the only move they could really pull as far as making notable changes in season, that if it doesn't work, I think Douglas is going to get to hire another coach. I guess it depends how this year finishes out, but let's say they go 9-8 and miss the playoffs. I think Douglas might be back.
I do too. And again, I said it already, but it's tough. It's tough to think that Woody just made this decision without Douglas or Rodgers' input. I mean, it's easy to see from afar their issues. So very tough to believe. And Douglas, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, you remember the Isaiah Dolan years, and that was a situation where he had job security for unknown reasons and no one wanted it. In Douglas's case, is it all that bad if he gets the right guy running the team? We'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Robby Sabo, co-founder of JetsXFactor.com. Subscribe to the channel and make sure you guys click that like button. I was asked yesterday about the shirt I was wearing on the Joe B show that had almost or has more than 60,000 views now last I checked. It's all available at jakeasman.com. Get your merch. Patreon users get 15% off every item. So if you want any Jake Asman merch, Asmaniac merch, check it out, jakeasman.com. Let's talk about Davante Adams. Yeah. I thought for sure he was getting traded yesterday to really cap the craziest day maybe in franchise history. It hasn't happened. The latest rumblings are that the Jets are obviously still interested. We don't know any other teams. We heard the Saints, but with Derek Carr's injury now, I don't know if that necessarily makes sense. Plus, their cap situation is not as easy to navigate as the Jets situation would be if they added Davante. What are your thoughts on this? It kind of feels like today could be the last day you could acquire him, and then he's in the lineup and plays Monday night.
I don't know if it'll happen today. I still think it will happen, though. And it should be spurred on by the miscommunication between all the receivers and Rodgers this past weekend in London. I mean, Rodgers didn't have a good day. Let's not fool ourselves. He was inaccurate. I mean, he's good at throwing off platform and from all different angles, and I see him being beat up, hurting his accuracy a little bit, being beat up with his legs. But besides that, we see the opportunities there. They are right in front of our faces. And if they could just capitalize on it and just not be a couple inches off, the one hole shot to Garrett, where Garrett's doing more of a corner to the sideline, more of an outbreaker, and Rodgers kind of leads him to the right, and he falls down and just can't make the catch in between the cloud corner and the over-the-top safety. Lazard in the end zone. I mean, you couldn't have – that's one of the more accurate balls I've ever seen in the face of tight coverage. He couldn't have handed it off better. You got to make that catch. So, I mean, Jake, you were on this from the start. They need Davante. They really do, because this offense – it's complicated, and it's a higher ceiling, higher output type offense, because that's what Rodgers knows. And you have to be on the same page. You have to read the leverage, read the coverage. Davante could step in from day one and be a monster.
To me, it's a no-brainer to get him. If he's traded, you have to get him. You have to. You're all in. You fired your head coach at 2-3 with first place on the line Monday night. Woody yesterday coming out and saying what he said about how good this team is, that obviously would jive with there's a superstar receiver available who has elite chemistry with your Hall of Fame quarterback you mortgaged everything to get. It's time to go, man. Get Davante Adams. And I think this is something that has to get done by today if you want him in the lineup for sure Monday night.
Yeah, and while you're at it, it's not going to happen, but this is a pipe dream. While you're at it, try to get Michael Mayer with him, because, my God, give me some blocking at the tight end group. This tight end room might be...
What happened, man? Is that coach? Because Jeremy Rucker was a good blocker his first couple of years. What happened, man?
Rucker's still blocking solidly, but, the new kid Bates, it was rough. And, Conklin's still a solid tight end. He doesn't have that modern vertical threat type speed that you really want in an offense to make it truly special. So, I mean, I'm serious. I know it's not going to happen. Mayer is in his second year, but they just drafted Bowers. Why not try to attach Mayer to it and give up a little more, because they could really use it at tight end. But in terms of Davante, yeah, I'm going all in, and I'm giving up more than I normally would want to. And I hope Douglas relents in that regard.
Look, I think at the end of the day, they want a second-round pick. I don't know if it will ultimately be a second-round pick, but if that's what it took, I'd rather give up my second-round pick and get him than not get him at all, because I look at it like this. You got 2 third-round picks anyway. You're all in to win this year. Who cares about the second-round pick? You're 2-3. This is the most winnable the AFC East has ever been for the Jets, despite the 2-3 start. They very easily could be 4-1 right now. Get it done. If it takes a second-round pick, screw it. Douglas, you screwed up the Reddick situation. He's not here. Okay, allocate the resource and get Davante Adams and have a game changer on offense. They obviously need more help pass rushing wise, but you're not going to find the equivalent of a Davante Adams available at that position on defense. So get the guy. I really think anyone who's against Davante Adams is just not seeing the forest through the trees here.
Agreed. Do it. And not only that, I mean, I appreciate the old school mind, because I'm still that way too. It starts from the trenches and it sprinkles out. It starts with the O-line, D-line, blah, blah, blah. It still applies, but as each year passes, it gets less and less that way. And the Jets are loaded with talent at the O-line. They really are. But playmakers really drive the game in a lot of ways these days. But again, it starts from scheming and during the week and opponent-specific game planning. And by the way, when I talk about Saleh, and it's too internal, and he talks about if we do what we do well, we could beat anybody, and identity and all that stuff, I'm not saying he never game planned for the opponent. Of course he did. I'm just trying to highlight a point that there's gray area. It's not enough opponent-specific. Because if it was, we'd see Sauce traveling with the other receiver. We would see more up-tempo stuff to start the game. a sluggo with max protect on the first play of the game when you know Flores is going to bring 7 in run fitting, stuff like that. So yes, playmakers, they go hand in hand with that type of scheming because the matchups are more apparent. You could get matchups with a receiver against a corner much more isolated as opposed to, okay, Tyron Smith matches up well against this D lineman. It's much more of a puzzle inside.
It is starting to rain memberships. Mother effing Chew has started us off this morning, Robbie. Let's go.
Choo, mother effing chew.
Now, we added an emoji yesterday because we had so many memberships flying off the shelves with people excited about the Saleh news.
Oh, that looks
Brick up,
way
baby.
better than mine. I'll tell you that.
I don't have yours in the arsenal right now. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Hey, use it, man. I'm down.
Ladies and
Hey, and
gentlemen.
I saw a comment that a mustache would not look good on me. Whoever wrote that, dude, I can't even grow a mustache. It would take a solid 3 weeks before you start seeing anything. So if Ulbrich has something on me, it's definitely the facial hair. Same color.
You got great hair, though, man. You really do.
I learned from the best, Francesa. I learned from him.
Here's the thing, too, with Ulbrich. It's a small thing, but I want him to be the backwards cap guy on the sidelines. Like, don't change the thing, man. Be yourself. I think Saleh struggled with, I was this fiery defensive coordinator guy, and now I'm the CEO. I'm the head guy. Like, no, man. Like, do what got you there. Like, Jeff Ulbrich, you connect with players. You're high energy. The defense clearly feeds off it. The offensive players have respect for you. We know this. Be that guy, man. Like, the hat needs to be backwards Monday night, firing everyone up at MetLife with a crowd that's going to be absolutely behind this team at the beginning of this game.
That was one of the thoughts that came to my head, not immediately, but later. Will Ulbrich stick with the backwards hat as head coach? And I think he will. I think he will. Yeah.
If I see he's not wearing a backwards hat Monday night, they're not winning the game. I'm just telling you.
It is so true. It's so true. In some ways I'm at a loss for words with what's happened. I'm not shocked because in our Slack channel at JetX, I kind of, after the London game later that night, I kind of posted a message that I expect something big to happen this week and things could change in an instant. And even though I said that, it still shocked me that he got fired because they're playing for first place this Monday night. It's just a crazy thing. So it takes guts, yet we're going to hear the same narrative, same old Jets. It's such a strange season so far.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Same old Jets would have waited and done this when the season was already over, or just let Saleh coach this team and they go 8-9, 9-8, miss the playoffs, because
save money.
That would be same old Jets. This is actually, well, it looks crazy because it's like, oh, Woody making this decision. It's like, if you follow the team, right, you knew that there was a real problem here. Like, it was looking the same despite the roster being so much better than any roster Saleh's had since he's been here. And it's not even just Rodgers. It's the O-line. It's the defensive personnel now being in their third year together. It's like, it's everything, man. The coaching staff being intact and having continuity, yet nothing was changing. Same old Jets would be doing nothing. Like, being proactive and doing this now, that's the opposite of same old Jets. Woody's been here for 25 years. It's the first time he's done this.
It's funny too. Even if the report about Rodgers and Hackett, Saleh wanting to demote him, made Woody act, it's sort of Hackett's sort of a just bystander in this because Saleh deserve to make that decision based on what he's put up so far? And if they would have moved on from Saleh this offseason, how would that have been perceived after Rodgers missed the entire year? Could they have made that move?
That was the problem.
I keep hearing this. Like, why didn't if you didn't like him, why didn't you just fire him last offseason? Could they have? Would it have made sense? Would there have been a revolt? In the lock? I don't know. It's such a tricky situation where, the back office, I don't want to say politics, but PR maneuvering is really, really huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to some super chats now, shall we? We'll mix in some calls with Mr. Sabo as well. Yvonne starts us off. Thank you, Yvonne. We hailed the new organization reporting structure of Saleh to JD to Woody Johnson. Now, all of a sudden, because it's a guy we want fired, we're happy with Woody Johnson going over JD. Saleh deserved it, but we need to be consistent. I guess I kind of understand this point, Robbie, but I don't think Joe Douglas was necessarily against this. I just don't think Joe Douglas, who knows he also was on the hot seat, was in no position to go to the owner 5 games in and say, fire the coach that I hired,
Yeah. But listen, did Woody go over Douglas here?
He said he consulted with him, but it was ultimately Woody's decision. That was his quote.
But again, like, that's what they put out there. See, I kind of view it in a way where if carefully crafted messages are put out, an eyebrow raises. Like, okay, is that really what happened? If it kind of just happens more organically, and I'm searching for an example of how that would look. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Woody went over Douglas without input. I'm not convinced of it. And at the end of the day, the structure could be anything. Woody's still the final boss. So I wouldn't. I hear you with the comment. It makes sense. And I still applaud this new structure. This is way better than the other way, because the other way, that was the true circus in town. The other way.
Yep.
Fans failed to forget the true circus that it was. This era, they're just the media, the fans, they're kind of just living in the post-circus area where the circus word is still attached because they haven't won yet. It's really, the leaks aren't crazy like they used to be. I'd be careful. I wouldn't go too crazy yet on the structure.
What are your thoughts on Siebel's commentary? We went from all gas, no brakes to shitting bricks. Brick up, baby. I'm bricked up, man. Are you?
Yeah, dude, I'm bricked up too. Hey, all gas. I want to see all gas, no break on the first series this Monday night. That's what I want to see from the offense and defense.
100%. Like, that's my thing with Saleh, right? Like, your mantra was all gas, no breaks. Yet you look defeated on the sideline. You look stoic. You didn't look like you wanted to be here. Like after every game, it can't be, well, when you lose in New York, everyone should be fired, and when you win, you're going to the Super. Like, that can't be the answer every time. Like, no, man, the buck stops with you. It's enough. They lost to Denver, unacceptable. We got to play better. This can't happen. Don't talk to me about, well, the weather probably contributed to why we struggled. Like, no, man, like when your coach starts making excuses, I think that rubs off on the team. The reason why the defense hasn't slipped is because Ulbrich holds them accountable. And I hope that now rubs off a little bit on the offense, because the talent offensively, even with Hackett and Downing probably not being that much of an upgrade when he's the play caller, like the talent is still good enough for this team to score 22, 23 points per game and win a lot of games because of how good the defense still is.
How many times have we seen the Jets get off to a slow start and scratch back? It is prevalent. It is ridiculous. And that counts the defense too. I mean, the defense falls within that category, and kudos for Ulbrich for the in-game adjustments. Aaron Jones going down, has the media pointing to that, but they made serious in-game adjustments against Minnesota to shore up the run. Like, they were run fitting. They were being aggressive. They were starting to force Darnold to take shots downfield. Early in the game, he hit a post to JJ. There was some shots downfield, but it was more underneath, and they could run the ball. They were getting 5, 6, 7 a clip with Aaron Jones. So all gas, no break is great, but it's got to be all gas, no break based on the opponent that week. And, that's what I'm excited for against the Bills.
Hit the like button if you're just coming in. We're talking with Robby Sabo in his weekly spot on the show. Brian writes in, if we lose Monday, then what? Who do we blame then? Look, let's see how it looks. I mean, it's still a tough game Monday night, but yeah. I do think there's now more pressure than ever on Rodgers, because all eyes are going to be on him. I don't think he got Saleh fired, but people are going to blame him for it. He'll talk today, I'm sure, and downplay all that. And I actually believe him. But I also think Rodgers, if he said to Woody, don't fire the guy, Saleh might still be here. So the attention is going to be on Rodgers. Who do we blame? I think this fan base will turn if he doesn't play well, but I expect Aaron Rodgers to play well. I do. I think last week was an outlier. We're 2 games removed from him playing one of the best games a Jet quarterback's played in the last 25 years.
Correct. And, not to make excuses, but Denver, Minnesota, their defenses are tearing it up. Right? I mean, both DCs are tremendous right now. And, seeing Rodgers with no confidence in the first half against Minnesota, it was a startling sign. But even worse, seeing him not play well against the blitz, even more startling. And it'll be fascinating to see what McDermott does in the Bills in terms of how they handle it. And I mean, if I'm them, I'm doing the same thing. I'm mugging the A gap and the B gap, and I'm sending pressure and see how they handle it. What will the Jets' plan be right out of the gate? It better not be vanilla, 12 personnel, condensed, to run a power on first down, try to do play action. It's got to be different.
Yvonne says, Buffalo changed their OC midseason last year and did well. Yeah, I mean, they ran the table and made the playoffs. It's a little different because we're talking about a head coach, but sometimes you make change and you could fire a team. It's a different sport. But remember, the Phillies fired Joe Girardi 2 years ago. They went all the way to the World Series. Like, we've seen this.
Yeah, you got to break tendencies. You got to break tendencies to make sure you're not predictable. That's their goal right now. And if I'm Ulbrich, that's my number one priority.
Bang Mateo in the house. Robby, why would Davante come to New York and play with AR for 12 games in the coaching circus when he go to New Orleans and play with Carr for 3 years, more shelf life.
Was he going to play Madden with Carr?
Yeah. First off, Carr is hurt, and 3 years. I mean, Dennis Allen could be fired after this year if they miss the playoffs. They can get out of the Carr contract, I'm pretty sure, after next year. I don't know, man. I don't think the Saints are that much better of a situation than the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. It's still Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day, one of his closest friends who he put up Hall of Fame numbers with. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying the Saints are a terrible destination. I like Clint Kubiak. I like what he did the first few weeks, but
same record as the Jets.
They're in that phase now where the league has had film on Kubiak, and it hasn't gone swimmingly. It hasn't gone terrible, but it hasn't matched the first few weeks over the last couple. So, no, I don't think it's. Listen, Davante, he's a smart dude, and I'm sure Rodgers and Davante are still in communication. So you can't look at it from your perspective and think that's what Davante's thinking. He has a totally different perspective based on the information he's getting. Circus is a little harsh too, I would say.
Drew writes in, Fowler reported Adams is still hurt and won't be ready for Sunday. Adams watch may be pushed back a week. Teams won't add him to the cap until he's healthy. I did not see that, but if that's true, then I guess that would make some sense.
Yeah, it would make sense, but you're eventually going to have to add him to the cap. So what's a week difference? What's a week or two difference? You're going to have to make the Raiders. Anyway.
Yeah, well, you'd think the Raiders would want to trade him so they don't have to pay him his game check for this upcoming week.
True. And if that's a sacrifice to make to give up less in the deal, you're going to do it.
Right.
So it depends on a lot of variables. We'll see.
Bang Mateo was never Ruckert hate. He is simply a third-round bust.
I wouldn't call him a bust. I mean, listen, third rounders could be great. Third rounders could be solid.
You're hoping to find a starter in the third round. He's not yet a starter, but he potentially could be next year. But I think they would need to add unless Ruckert starts to break out, they're going to need to add another tight end to this room if they don't re-sign Conklin.
I think he could never fill a tight end 2 spot that you're looking for vertical stuff from. Like if you have a balanced tight end 1 who blocks, does everything well, you want your number 2 to be a vertical guy, that's not Ruckert. Ruckert is a more balanced blocking H-back type. And that's another thing. They cut Bowden. They came into the season without a fullback, which shocked the hell out of me because Rodgers always has a fullback. That's another sneaky thing that I didn't like. But is it affecting them? I mean, 12 personnel, you could do a lot of things. That's the same as 21 personnel with a fullback. But Ruckert, the final word isn't in on Ruckert yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the Ghostbuster hotline. First up is Robby Sabo. Hello, Robby. Whoa, where'd he go? Robby? Oh, there you are.
Oh, it's hideous.
Look at that stash.
Oh, man. That's what kind of stash is that? How far down? Does anyone have an official word on what kind of stash that is?
The Jake Asman?
It's got definitely not a handlebar, right? It's like
no, I can't grow the handlebar. My beard never would connect fully, which was so annoying. So this is the best I could do. I wanted to match Joe B with the handlebar, but couldn't do it.
The Fu Manchu, you can't go Fu Manchu either with like
the
Joe
Namath. The Namath, yeah, the Namath.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I'm like Joe Dirt. Like if I went a week, I'd get some fuzz here, like a pre-adolescent 11-year-old. Some on the side here, but right here we all like a baby's ass. Still, it's bad. Like I'll never get it. I'll never know what it feels like to have a real beard, and that's one of the great regrets of my life.
You have a great hair, though, man. I'm telling you. You trade that any day of the week.
Thank you.
Indomable has gifted a channel membership. Ladies and gentlemen, David Rivera, the recipient of the prestigious honor. But wait, hold on. It's raining. Rick Kent in the house, back from London, where I spent some time with the great Rick Kent, and dropping a 5-spot for the people.
Show me the money.
Show me the money! Money.
Damn.
All right, here we go. You hear your name called. You're a channel member. Black 8th Element, Roth09, Nikki NFT, Charles Houston, and CJ Sweater. Welcome. All right. This one is from Altoona, who also was in London with Rick Kent and I. In fact, we grabbed dinner one of the nights we were all out there. Robby, your overall take on the bad offensive line performance, bad scheming, or mostly poor execution?
Yeah, this isn't a cop-out, but it's the truth. It's both. I mean, you can't successfully run the ball. I don't care if you have 5 Hall of Famers if the numbers aren't there. If you're facing numbers, you just won't be able to do it. At the same time, they don't have a go-to rushing concept. And usually, if you're in an offense that has an identity, you have a go-to concept, like the wide zone or something gap principled, man principled, like power. And they don't do anything well. So I think it's a matter of both. I really do.
Ladies and gentlemen, comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Let's keep rolling right now with some calls to get us going. We'll go to Gary, who's first up today. Hello, Gary.
What's up, y'all? Robby, a couple of things. First, I really liked your analysis on Saleh in the beginning. I just feel like there's some delusion with Joe Douglas, and I just want your take on this. So the three most important decisions a GM can make is head coach, quarterback, left tackle. So he went Saleh, Zach Wilson, and Becton. Just on those three picks. Cumulatively, give him a grade on those three picks.
Well, Becton, I mean, how's he's not
He's
doing
a backup
terrible.
guard on the Eagles.
What's that?
He's a backup guard at this point with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he hasn't done well. He's missed on those guys. He's missed on especially Saleh being the most important. Rookie quarterbacks in today's league, since 2010, since the Bradford class, you could miss on a quarterback and be fine. The Niners did it. It's a new world. So your equation from the start, I don't think it holds water like it used to. These guys take these quarterbacks because the slotted salary isn't as painful. It doesn't set your franchise back like it used to. So the question from that angle is a little different. Now, the one I agree with you wholeheartedly is the head coach, and he gets an F. That's the one that's important to me.
How would you grade Zach Wilson's performance as a Jet?
His performance, an F.
Yeah.
I mean, why are you even asking that question? It's ridiculous. But the point is, it's not. You could miss on a quarterback, play him, and move on quickly.
It's also
it's a different world.
Well, Gary, to your point, like Zach Wilson, obviously it's an F, but it's also complicated too because he moved off of Zach after 2 years to bring in Rodgers, and then we got stuck with Zach for a third year because Rodgers got hurt 4 plays in, so he never should have got the third year. Now, there's a separate criticism of Douglas. Last year, if they have a better backup quarterback, even with this head coach who proved not to be a great head coach, you could have still made the playoffs, I believe. So, it's a complicated thing because, you hear the owner yesterday say it's the most talented team he's had in 25 years. I don't necessarily disagree, yet Douglas has had a lot of whiffs, but he's also done some good things with his roster is certainly good enough to be a playoff team and go on a run.
Go ahead.
Going 9-8 and making the playoffs is not really anything to write home about. I know it is for this franchise. I know that's a banner year for us because we haven't done it in 14 years, but you guys are trying to celebrate basic stuff. Like Joe Douglas needs to go 7-1 to have a winning percentage as bad as Izek and McCagnon. Then you guys want to celebrate because he hit on Jermaine Johnson and he hit on Breece Hall. It's like it doesn't matter.
Where do you rate Douglas in terms of other GMs in the league? In terms
he's
of
horrendous. I mean,
hold on. Let me finish. In terms of drafting, and his bust rate.
I give him a C. I mean, he's probably in the middle somewhere. He's got some good ones. He's got some bad ones.
Have you ever looked at great GMs drafts in terms of how many guys bust?
Yeah, sure. Everyone's going to draft bust for sure.
Right. And if Douglas goes down, it's because he picked the wrong head coach. I truly believe that. Like, he has Aaron Rodgers. He missed on Becton during the COVID year. He missed on Zach Wilson. The Niners missed on Trey Lance after trading up. You should be able to overcome that if you have the right guy running the ship. And listen,
the 49ers got lucky because the 49ers got lucky. If they knew Brock Purdy was going to be a franchise quarterback, they wouldn't have waited till the last pick in the draft.
But Brock Purdy would have never been a franchise quarterback without the right guy running the ship.
That's okay. That's probably true, but
it comes down. Coaching is the most important thing in football, hands down, and it's the sport where coaching matters the most by far. 100%. So I think your question's valid. Wholeheartedly. I mean, if someone's praising Douglas and saying he's the best dude in the world, and you should disagree with that. But to say he sucks, it's tough. It's tough
Gary,
to say that.
Let me ask you this.
Based on what's happened.
Great point, Robby. Let me ask you this, though, Gary. Let's say they win the division, whatever the record is, 10-7. They go 8-4 the rest of the way. They're 10-7. They win the division. All right. Would you let Douglas hire the coach? Would Ulbrich be the coach? Like, who would you want Douglas to hire? Because the team would then be good enough that he put together to be a division championship with an intern head coach. It's like, do you give him another chance at getting the coach right, just like you gave him a chance to make up for the Zach Wilson pick by adding Aaron Rodgers?
Well, so my answer is no, right? Look, if the only way we keep him is if he wants to give Ulbrich the shot as the full-time head coach, right? Because that's still associated with him. Once we decide that we're going to go with a new head coach, we can't let the guy that picked Saleh pick the next head coach. Just like we can't let him pick the next quarterback. He's already proven he can't do it. He's not capable of doing it. So you can't keep the madness. Like, if you're going to go with a new head coach, we got to have a new GM. If you're going to go with a new quarterback, you got to have a new GM because this guy can't do it.
I tend to agree. I just want to see what it looks like. I want to see how Ulbrich does.
I mean, if that was the case, then you'd kick Shanahan and Lynch out for taking Lance right away. Yeah. If they proven they can't do it.
But they got lucky with Purdy. But sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. Like, like the Jets obviously have had some poor luck. It's not just that they're bad. They've had some terrible luck too.
It's also based on grading on a curve. Let's be honest, how historically awful the talent evaluation and the procedure was the decade before Douglas came in.
True.
You don't get to start from zero in that situation. You have to be pliable, and you have to understand what the situation is. He started from underground, where the Undertaker lives. Listen, you don't give Douglas an A+, but to just,
if they make the playoffs, I think he's going to get a chance to pick another coach, or maybe they just promote Ulbrich, who was going to be a guy that, if they were a good team this year, was going to get head coaching consideration anyway from other teams.
Yeah.
I got one last question for Robby. It's kind of just a general football question. You watch a lot of tape, and you do this for a living. You were talking about missing on quarterbacks, and you see so many Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Bo Nix, guys I don't understand at all, right? Like, why is it like there's so many quarterbacks drafted now in the last 5 years or so that miss compared to other parts in football history? Like, there's so many misses.
The scale.
Bad misses.
It's the new slotted salary scale, because before Bradford, you had to negotiate the contract before you pick the guy, which meant quarterbacks would actually be slotted in the draft where they deserve to be. If you missed on a guy and you paid him all that money, you're done. You're screwed for years. Since they changed it and they're making far less money, quarterbacks are going higher and higher in the draft when they don't deserve to be, because GMs know, owners know, hey, if he doesn't work out, we start him right away. If he doesn't work out in 2 years, we're not done. It doesn't ruin us. It's a different world. And that's the reason.
You're right, because Zach Wilson doesn't ruin the Jets. It's a rookie contract. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, that destroys your franchise.
Did McCagnon...
Zach Wilson doesn't really destroy your franchise.
Did McCagnon get it right with Darnold? And how was Darnold playing?
No, and I like Darnold too. I mean, Darnold's doing well this year, but...
How suddenly?
That's more of a question for you.
Coaching.
Right? I mean... Coaching. Okay, yeah.
Coaching is everything.
I don't disagree. The head coach is the most important person on the team. I agree.
Yeah, and listen, Douglas...
Not on the Raiders.
Did somebody say Brock Bowers?
That's enough Gary for today. Again, we had a lot of Gary
Douglas. He really hates Douglas, huh?
Oh, just despises him. But Gary, the thing Gary does that is hilarious is he talks out of both sides of his mouth. He hates Joe Douglas, but he agrees with what Woody said yesterday. Gary had previously said on the show that this is the most talented roster the Jets have had since '98. So it's like he can't be doing that bad if he put together this type of team. He's not perfect. He certainly has had his mistakes. We know what they are. Saleh now being a big part of it, but come on.
I get it, Gary. Listen, he's a Jets fan. He's antsy. He wants to see results now, and it has to happen. I get it completely. It's just, don't throw a parade for Douglas. Can't do that. Can't totally exonerate him. When you miss and you bring in the wrong head coach, that's a hell of a thing to overcome. It's a fireable offense. But there's a lot more gray area in there between he's great or he's terrible. Fire him.
Rick Kent in the house. Jake, great hanging with you in Vegas. Robby, I'm reading a lot of negativity in the New York Post regarding the Saleh firing. Surprised or no? Also, I believe Rick Kent meant London, because then he super chatted saying I meant London. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, kind of negativity. I gotta see the specifics, but negativity pertaining to the Jets in a newspaper. Color me shocked.
I mean, it's so funny, right? These are the same people that are bashing Saleh. He's the worst coach in the NFL, and then they fire him, and it's how could they do this? Like there's a tweet I'm seeing from like NFL memes. The Jets watched Aaron Rodgers throw these passes and said, "Yeah, Salah's got to go." And it's like you haven't watched the Jets the last 56 games, and that's your take. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a silly, isolated, extreme sort of thing. They're just trying to elicit the most extreme fan reaction. That's all. Don't fall for it.
Motivated T has been a member for 6 months. Thank you, Motivated T. We love you. Chef Kevin is up next on our show this morning. Hello, Chef Kev.
Hey, Jake, Robby, how you guys doing?
That's Chef of the Future.
That's right. Hey, appreciate it. Jake, man, phenomenal job yesterday, man. That was just a tremendous job with what you did for as long as you did, man. Just, hats off to you guys.
Thank you, man. Marathon day.
Yo, you killed it, man. That was almost like draft day. I mean, with the draft, how long you were going with the Vegas stuff and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. The only difference was I wasn't really sick this time, which made it easier. Yeah. I was so sick in Vegas during the draft. That was the worst.
Yeah. Nah, you powered through, man. But yeah, just want to give kudos to everybody. Get the likes, subs up. Jake's almost at 39K. Let's, keep it going. Just thoughts and prayers, man, for everybody out in Florida, man. Keith Best, Florida Ted, Gator the GOAT, man. You guys are in our prayers right now as this hurricane is getting ready to touch down, man. We're definitely thinking about y'all.
When's it going to hit? I don't even know what time it's going to hit. Do we know?
I believe it's later on today, like tonight-ish. But yeah, it's not looking good. There's already stuff starting to kick up from the ocean and all that. Barricades are there. People are getting escorted out. It should be bad, man. So I'm just really praying for everybody down there. Sports are sports. It connects us and whatnot. But when we're getting ready to deal with a very big natural disaster, it's important that we keep the main thing, and just make sure that we're all staying healthy. That we're listening to what the Coast Guards, the police, fire, emergency staff, like everybody's saying, gotta evacuate. Just listen, just go, man. Live to see another day, man.
The country needs to hire you as the calm, measured voice of reason during times of stress. I say that.
Robby, I appreciate you. Robby, if you don't mind, just had a couple of questions, man. I was congrats to you too, Robby, with the Jets X Factor getting 10K. That's a really great milestone for you and the team, man.
Yeah, we love the video. We'll always be a website first, written content first, but that's why us and Jake, we try to push each other as much as possible because we're Google written, he's video, but we love our video side too, for sure.
Absolutely. So yesterday I was watching you and Corbett. I know Jake had a great time with Corbett out there before the game and whatnot.
We talked a lot about Robby Sabo.
Wayne
and I. We did.
Good things, couple bad things.
Dude, I can't even imagine like being beloved by Wayne Corbett. You know what I mean? Like growing up watching him, and it's like he's like I'm just talking to him about you. And he's like, yeah, Robby's great. He's been so great to work with. And I'm just like, that's Robby Sabo. I know him too.
It's the Matrix, man. Yeah, I'm living in the Matrix.
Yeah, he's North Jersey Garfield legend for sure.
Great guy, man. Wayne could not be a nicer. Coles was awesome. T. Rich was great. I couldn't believe they showed up to the party we did. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, salute to those guys. One thing that Corbett said yesterday was like he was saying like that it was warranted with the Rob firing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I as a season ticket holder, I already spoke to my rep after the Denver game, telling him like I'm not renewing until the end of the year, knowing that I'll have to forfeit my seats. But in any case, I was looking to upgrade or whatever, just based on what was going on. Do you think Woody was hearing like outside noise that kind of made him move a little bit quicker with the sense of urgency? Because me personally, I thought give Rob the Buffalo game, knowing that with that win, we're number one in the division. Our record right now is 2-1 in the conference. So I don't know. I think some people forget like 5 games in, we lost to 2 NFC teams. So we're still not that far away. I was just curious to your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to know. I wouldn't say it had nothing to do with it. Let's put it that way. Yeah. In the past, Woody has made some moves that have been, I don't want to say media driven, but noise driven. But if it had something to do with it, I think it would have little impact at this point.
Gotcha.
I think the London laws played a role, Chef. I do. I mean, he's probably got a lot of high level billionaire friends and London officials, and it was embarrassing. And I think the Denver game, on top of then you come out in a game that you got to play better, and you start as flat as they did, down 17 zip. Like, I think that has a lot to do with this too. I think it was just a lot of built up frustration from Denver carrying over into Minnesota. Maybe the decision was made at halftime when they were very close to being down 17-0 till that last drive.
Yeah, and I keep coming back to this. What does Woody love? The one thing we know he loves: superstar quarterbacks. Favre. He thought Sanchez would be that guy. Rodgers. So yeah, I'm sure London had something to do with it and other outside factors. But man, again, I'll go back to it. I have a hard time believing it was Woody. Totally, without the football side involved, I have a hard time believing it.
Yeah, and then for me, like a glaring issue, and Jake's posted this a bunch of times since the London game, like the offensive line. I think Tippmann is like one of our most consistent. I know in training camp, word got out. Obviously, we saw some fumbles or whatever, but he's been holding it down and doing a solid job. Other than that, like, it's been inconsistent. The tight end, like the blocking. I know people were talking about Middleton, potentially being, the interim. Like, is Middleton, is this something that kind of falls on him with the tight end stuff, the blocking? Is that more on Keith Carter? Like, I know it's different position groups and whatnot, but, a little concerning.
It is concerning for sure. I don't think they have the talent in the tight end room, to be honest. When it's a welcoming thing that Kenny Yeboah is coming back, you're kind of hurting. I don't think they have the O-line. I think they have the talent, and I think
he can't be worse than 84. Yeboah can't be worse than number 84. I mean, good God.
You don't even say he's calling him out by number. It's bad when that's happening.
Yeah, that's bad. It's bad.
He stinks, man.
Yeah, it was rough. He was whiffing. He was flailing. Yeah, I mean, the fundamentals were just off the charts terrible with those blocks.
Yeah, and just lastly, if you don't mind, just wrapping up. I liked what Woody was saying yesterday. The only thing that I was kind of like, damn, I wish you didn't co-sign was just talking about the roster and how good it looks, because that, I think, made JD feel like job security was a little bit better, where I felt like if he didn't say that, then there would be more of a sense of urgency to get Reddick in the building and Davante Adams.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents, but
it's possible, but right from the jump, starting at the top, I don't even know if it's true. I mean, is this team more talented than the Mikey T Mangini team? I don't know.
Yeah. Those lines had Hall of Fame type talent on that whole line.
You had David Harris, Revis. You had a lot of talent on that team, other than quarterback, really.
Yeah. But hey, Robby, Jake, I appreciate you guys' help. Thank you guys so much for the content. Definitely helping us all as Jet fans get by the day. Appreciate y'all.
Chef Kev.
Take care, man.
You are the man. Appreciate you. Let's do one more call with Robby, and then we'll wrap. Let's say hello to Kyle Clifton. What's up, Kyle?
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
What's up, Kyle?
I can't wait. I have this image in my head of Ulbrich on the sideline on Monday night, clean shaven in a 3-piece suit, maybe like a Tom Landry hat, and Jets fandom loses their mind.
Yeah, I mean, I could, especially coming from you, I could see you excited for that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I don't agree with Gary about Douglas. I think that the Johnsons are insulating Douglas and Rodgers from the Saleh firing because they see value in them that they don't see in Saleh.
Agreed.
I think that,
and there's no other way. Like, if you tell the truth, you screw yourself.
Right. So they see the guy who picked Quincy off the trash heap. They see the guy who drafted Sherwood. They see the guy who drafted Michael Carter and Eccles. They see the guy who drafted, and it goes on and on and on. And that doesn't mean that he didn't make mistakes. We don't know how successfully the Jets diverted from the original model where everything went up through the Johnsons when Douglas was hired. Maybe he was someone in there who was advocating for Campbell. He said, in my opinion, I think Campbell might be the guy, but I think they're all good candidates. And maybe he was overruled. I have no idea. But he was definitely overruled this time, if we're going to take Woody at his word, right? So, again, we have this season for him to prove who he is, for Douglas to prove who he is. Hopefully he'll be able to make the Adams thing work. Maybe he'll be able to resolve something or get some value out of Hassan Reddick. But I think that the key thing for us to take away from this entire event in the last day and a half is that Woody sees value in Douglas that he did not see in Saleh. Your guys' thoughts?
Completely agree. I mean, because why wouldn't both be gone? It's easier to fire a GM in season than a head coach.
The GM's done a better job. Well, not perfect. The GM put together a really good roster that is way better than 2 and 3. And I think it was kind of obvious, like Saleh wasn't really doing much. And these losses were all too familiar with Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle at the quarterback spot last year. And I think Quincy's comments were alarming about accountability.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Rodgers the previous week talking about it. I think I don't think he lost the locker room yet, but it was trending that way. And why not bring in the guy or promote the guy that has overachieved with less talent and holds guys accountable on that side of the ball? And that should rub off offensively. And I know it hasn't been announced yet, but I don't think Hackett's the play caller. I think it's going to be Downing Monday night.
The other thing is, everyone's a fan of a lot of teams, not just the Jets. Excuse me. How many times, I'm a Rangers fan. They have Laviolette, but they lost. I can't believe hockey's back, by the way. Do they have an off season? They don't. It's ridiculous.
I got to be honest. I will not. I will casually follow hockey, the Islanders, the whole thing.
It's too much.
We got playoff baseball going on. The Knicks start at the end of the month too. I mean, I'm locked into the Jets season right now. Like, there's a lot happening.
Yeah. Well, Laviolette is the head coach. They have this excellent coach in Knobloch in Hartford. And you're a victim of your own success. You lose him to the Oilers because he's a great coach. And Rangers fans they make the final last year. We lose Knobloch. We have Laviolette. But what if Ulbrich is going to be destined to do great things? The Jets were actually proactive in making this move to not lose him. So think about it from that angle as well.
Well said. Real quick, I just want to, John, we're going to get to your super chats, but this one from Mr. Reality I think is annoying, so I want you to address it. Robby, my concern is now Ulbrich becomes Saleh as the CEO coach, and our DC position takes a huge hit. Ulbrich days of 13 hours a day, DA defense are over. Mr. Reality, we fired the teacher and promoted the student. Would you like to respond to Mr. Reality?
I don't see that happening, especially with an in-season move this quickly. I anticipate Ulbrich remaining the defensive play caller, and I anticipate seeing him talk to players on the sideline during the game. I think one of the things that Saleh did initially, he didn't handle play calling duties, and I thought that was admirable. It wasn't selfish. He trusted someone else. He delegates. Maybe he was too strict in his vision of what a head coach should be. Standing on the sidelines, separating himself what he used to do in terms of getting his hands dirty in the mud when he was at the DC of San Fran. I don't think that's going to happen to Ulbrich. The change is too quick this week, and you'll fall back on old patterns right away. So don't worry about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is Robby Sabo. A round of applause, Mr. Sabo. I appreciate you, Robby. Are you and Wayne doing a pod on this at any point?
Well, we did one last night.
Oh, so, there you go.
Yeah, check it out on the.
You should have plugged that earlier when we brought up Corbett.
I'm this marketing stuff. I can't. But check it out, JetX YouTube. Better yet, use discount code 80 on the jetsxfactor.com website or JetX mobile app store or Android. All that good stuff.
There it is, Robby. I will talk to you soon. Appreciate you as always, man.
All right, later, Jake.
Robby Sabo in his weekly spot on the show. Couple super chats here. Now, full disclosure, I am doing a radio hit on ESPN on Greeny in about 7 minutes. So while that is happening, you guys can listen live, but I want to continue the show because it's such a monumental week here for the Jets. So I'm going to play you back-to-back Woody and Ulbrich from yesterday in totality while I'm on the radio on Greeny, and then I'll come back and we'll do the rest of the show. But if you want to hear me on ESPN radio, download the ESPN app and hit the radio button. Or if you're in New York, put on 880 AM and you should hear it. Or download the ESPN New York app and hit 880 and you should be able to hear it as well. So I'm doing that in a few minutes here, but let me squeeze in some super chats. John writes in, Woody had this firing in mind since the offseason and was waiting for the right time. He's banking on the honeymoon period to carry the team to the playoffs. Yeah, and sometimes you do get that dead cat bounce, right? You do get that dead coach spark. We've seen this. It happened with the Raiders. Antonio Pierce did a nice job last year. They didn't make the playoffs, but he took over and they were, 1-5? What was their record? Someone look up what Pierce's record was when he assumed responsibility for the Raiders. I mean, they beat the Jets. Not a nightmare game I was at. John writes in, last year, Zach Wilson had a good game against the Chiefs, and it bought him time. That's what Woody didn't want to have happen with the Buffalo win with Saleh. There's something to that, John. It's a fair point. Right? If you were basically going to use the Buffalo game to decide the coach's fate, don't you want to make the move now when you have an extra day to get ready, to get Ulbrich set up for this game? It makes sense. I know people don't want to give Woody any credit. The team hasn't won since he's been here. They have the longest playoff drought in sports. I get it. Same old Jets would be doing nothing. This is actually different. This is proactive. Will it work? I guess we'll find out. But I don't think the Jets got worse yesterday. I would actually argue I think they got better yesterday. Now, if they had Davante today, they unequivocally have gotten way better. Doc with a super chat. I believe the offensive line coaching is our biggest problem besides Hackett. It is feasible to get solid replacement for Carter at this point. I don't know, but it can't be worse, right? Like when you hear Ulbrich talk about making changes and how they do things, but maybe not firing people, fine. But something's got to change, man. Something has to change. All right, I got time for one more quick call before I do this radio hit on ESPN with Greeny here. Let's do Indomitable. He's next. Hey, Indomitable.
Jake, what's going on, man?
You tell me, my man. What do you got?
Great work yesterday, man. You're the best. Objective, always on point. That's why we follow you fervently, and Robby does a good job as well. Let me tell you a quick point. I know you have to leave. A few days before Saleh's firing, I said that FDR used to say that the job of a president is to set the tone of the nation. And I say that the job of a coach is to set the tone of the team. I saw Ulbrich's press conference yesterday, and the guy emits a good energy, a solid conviction. And I am confident that his attitude will rub on the team and it will light a spark and establish a tougher identity on the whole squad. However, I only have one concern. If we miss the playoffs, we might have to face the possibility of a 2025 season with no GM, no coach, no QB, and a bunch of players due to be signed. But there's something in me that is making me confident that this experiment will go well. But if the season by any chance derails, the only thing that it's going to do is it will further the notion that Woody, the only common denominator in the last 25 years with the Jets, is an incompetent owner. So have a great day, Jake, and you're the best. Love you, bro.
I appreciate it, Indomitable. Look, until Woody wins, criticize him, but, Saleh wasn't necessarily his hire. And I think that's why he was more willing to make this change. Look, the team is really talented. I don't think Woody's wrong when he says it's one of the most talented teams he's had, if not the most talented team. I agree. All right. I'm going to go hop on with ESPN Radio with Hembo. I'm going on Greeny right now. So if you guys want to listen, ESPN. In the meantime, because I'm going to come back and do more calls, get more super chats in, and talk more about this as we await for more news today. I'm going to play you yesterday Jeff Ulbrich's press conference, meeting the media, and Woody Johnson's press conference as well. Let's do Woody first, and then we'll do Ulbrich because that's the order in which this went down yesterday. Be right back. Stay tuned. Jake Asman with you, baby. It never ends. The show just keeps going on and on and on. Let's go, Jets.
I think everybody's heard the news, and I just want my opening statement is that this is one of the most talented teams that has ever been assembled by the New York Jets. I wanted to give this team the most opportunity to win this season. I feel that we had to go in a different direction, and that's why I did that today. This change, the change that we made today, that I made, I believe will bring new energy and positivity that will lead to more wins starting now. I want to say, which I've said earlier to some of the members of the leadership team that represents the players, how proud I am of this team, this specific team this year, and excited about what could happen and what will happen particularly given these changes that we've made today. So, as I don't know if this has been reported, but we've taken the defensive coach, Jeff Ulbrich, and made him the interim head coach. I've seen him coach, and I know the relationship he has with the players, and they respect him. They trust him. I've seen it at halftime, and I've seen it in practice. When he talks, they listen to him in a way that probably represents the fact that he did play the sport as linebacker for 10 years, which is pretty unique. So he brings that knowledge and the respect and the knowledge to the game in a way that I think will be very good for the players going forward. And so with that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ambassador Johnson. At this time, we will begin the Q&A portion of our call. As a reminder, please press *3 on your telephone to be added to the queue. When your line is unmuted, please state your name and organization before asking your question. Brian, your line is open.
Woody, what specifically did you feel like Robert Saleh wasn't getting done that you felt you had to make this change?
Brian, you know, as I just stated, you know, when I take a look at this team, and you know, I've been doing this for 25 years now. This is probably the best team I've had in 25 years. I just felt that the best way to go forward is with a new direction, and taking Jeff Ulbrich and making him the interim head coach. I thought that would get the most out of this team and give us the best chance that we all want to have, which is going to the playoffs.
Rich, your line is now open.
Woody, Rich Samini from ESPN. I'm
hey,
curious.
Rich.
Hi, Woody. What, if any, input did Aaron have in this? Did you discuss it with him before making the decision? If you could maybe discuss that a little bit.
Well, I did talk to him the night before, but we didn't discuss this, you know, specifically at all. I mean, we were basically talking about the previous game and, you know, his breaking 60,000 yard record and accomplishing that. And sorry, he got hit so many times, and how was he feeling? And so, no, in terms of whether I was going to do it or not, no, we didn't discuss that.
Your line is now open.
Woody, it's Tom Rock from Newsday. How are you?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Good, good. I'm just curious about the timing of this and why, it was such a short leash for Robert now that you didn't make this decision at the end of last season.
Well, you know, we didn't have this team last season, but we've got an unbelievable team, as I said earlier, and it just felt like the right decision to make at this time. So I made the decision to do it now. It's something, you know, Tom, when you make a decision like this, it's not an easy decision. This required a lot of soul searching and, you know, looking back at my experience in sports and particularly with the New York Jets for 25 years. And so I took it very seriously, and that's why I made the decision, because I thought and think that it's going to make us more competitive, and it's going to help us reach the goals that the team and I want to accomplish.
It just seems.
Mark Cannizzaro, your line is open.
Hey, Woody, I have two questions. How are you?
Yep. Good.
Two questions. The first of which, most of your struggles have been on offense, and obviously we know that Robert's built a pretty good defensive, backbone to this team since he's been here. So I think a lot of the Jet fans' question is, how is this move going to help your offense, which has clearly been the issue? That's my first question. My second question is, just as a follow, is there seems to be a perception that you are very influenced by, your fans' frustration and anger, and I'm curious, what your take is on that.
Right. Well, that's the media, trying to get a story, because, you know how that works. How do we improve the offense? I think one of the reasons that I decided to make a coaching change at the highest level here is exactly that. We need to find ways to win. And so we're not going to do it. We're not going to find those ways by doing the same thing over and over and over. So I think that Jeff is going to add something. He's going to add a spark of positivity and all that goes with somebody, and the trust that the players have in somebody that's been through it, and they know, and that they respect, and they know that's reciprocal. And those changes that we have to make on offense, we'll make. We're going to make them on offense, and we're going to make it on defense. We're going to try to get better. And so this is a new opportunity for all of us. And so that's why I decided to do that today.
Mike Garafolo, your line is open.
Hey, Woody. Did you consult with Joe Douglas on this decision?
Joe Douglas and I, hi Mike, how you doing? I did talk to Joe Douglas about it, but in the end of the day, this was my decision, and my decision alone. And I've had enough experience doing these things. It's the first time I've done it this early, but I thought, once again, I thought and think that this will help the team, help this talented team achieve the goals that the team wants, and that I want, and the fans want.
Connor, your line is now open.
Hey, Woody, this is Connor Hughes with SNY. I know you mentioned specifically the offense there, that the changes you're going to make on offense, you're going to make on offense. But specifically, what are you going to do to ignite that group? Or are you considering changes on the offensive side of the ball? And then as a second quick question, how would you assess the job that Nathaniel Hackett has done as your offensive coordinator the last 2 years, and specifically this year?
Okay, well, I think we're going to make changes wherever changes are due. We know where we're weak and where we're strong, and so do you. You can see it every week, and so we are going to make the changes that enable us to give these fabulous players on both sides of the ball the chance to win. And we know that we have to make some improvements and changes here. That is sure. And Jeff, although I haven't had a chance to talk to him too much today because he's quickly morphing into being the head coach, which is a pretty sizable transition for him, which I think he's more than capable of handling, by the way. And so, offense has been, certainly, it's been a challenge, more than a challenge.
I want to open this up with just making it very clear my love, my respect, my regard for Coach Saleh and all that he's done here. Great gratitude for him bringing me here. Great gratitude for staying by me, especially for the people that have been here when year one we didn't play the level of defense necessary to win games. And he stuck with me. He had great belief in me. And the success I have today, he's a huge part of that. And I got tremendous respect and love for his family as well. So today's an exciting day for myself from the standpoint of getting this opportunity, but at the same time, heavy in my heart for Robert. With that, I'll take any questions.
Jeff, Woody was talking to us a little bit ago about changes potentially, just changes in general for the offense. I was wondering if you could talk at all about your plans for the play caller, because you have Todd there who's done it. You have Nate who has been doing it. Do you know who's going to call plays for you?
I've got tremendous respect for this offensive staff. I do. Every single guy on it. in the next couple days, like in my opinion, these guys are going to be here on Monday Night Football for us, and they're gonna do an amazing job. Saying that, in the next, this has been 4 hours fresh for me to take this role on. Everything will be assessed, the process, the responsibilities, etc. But I do not foresee any changes in the staff.
Just to follow up on that, Jeff, you said you don't foresee any changes on the staff, but do you foresee any changes in the roles, meaning play caller?
Yeah, we're going to take a deep dive on that in the next, really 36 hours and look at every possibility. But I do not see changes in necessarily titles in positions as far as responsibilities and the process itself. We're going to take a hard look at that.
Brick, we spoke with Woody a little while ago, and he basically said, he thinks this is one of the most talented rosters. I think he said it's the most talented roster he's ever had, and he needs to see changes. What do you feel like you can bring to the table here to get this thing turned around?
We're going to take a hard look at everything. I agree with Mr. Johnson as far as the talent of this roster. We have been underperforming for whatever the reason, and we're going to take a hard look at all of it. At the end of the day, I'm going to be me. And, I have tremendous love and respect for this team, for this roster, for this locker room, for this group of coaches, and I really believe, we lock arms, we commit to the process that we put in place, and we will have success. We will.
Jeff, what's your relationship like with Aaron Rodgers?
I have a good relationship with Aaron. He is, he's one of those guys that has, he's just unbelievable experience and he's seen this game at the highest level for a long time. So he's a guy with a lot of ideas and really positive feedback about a lot of different things, whether it be meetings, practice, game planning, scheduling, all of it, so he will be a vital resource for me in that way, for sure.
Hey, Brett, could you just, I'm sure this has been a whirlwind for you here, but just wondering about the timeline. Like, when did you actually find out? When was this opportunity presented to you? And how have you processed everything in that time?
Yeah, it has been a whirlwind. It has been 4 hours of craziness. 4 hours ago, I'm sitting there game planning for Josh Allen and what we got to get accomplished from a defensive perspective. And then 4 hours later, I'm doing a press conference here with you guys as the new interim coach of the New York Jets. So a lot of information to process. It's going to take me some time because, I got to pull away from the defensive coordinator position and really start to look at this thing from a global perspective. So in the process of doing that now.
To follow up on that, Jeff, how will you handle the defensive coordinator responsibilities now? Will you turn that over to someone? Will you continue to serve in that role?
I think everything is on the table right now. So I'm going to take a hard look at that. And can I manage a game day as a head coach and play or call the plays on defense? So everything's on the table right now. It is.
When it comes, what is your message? Do you think, when it comes to like the underperforming, Jeff, do you think?
Say it again.
When it comes to the team underperforming this season, do you think there has to be radical changes, or do you think you guys have to do what you've been doing but do it better?
I think everything's on the table right now. We're not playing to our potential. We're not. We're too talented to be putting the product we put out there the last couple of weeks, especially. So we got to take a hard look at everything and be honest with ourselves.
Have you had an opportunity to address the team as a group yet? And if so, what was the message? And if not, what will be the message when that happens?
I did get an opportunity earlier today. The message was, it's time to lock arms. We go back to back, and it's us against everybody. And with the talent that we have in that room, in my opinion, we have everything we need to be successful and have the season that we know we're capable of having, and at the same time, shared my love, regard, and respect for Robert, and you know, and at the same time, a day like this, there's a moment of you know, there's some sadness and frustration because ultimately his firing is on all of our hands, you know, so we got to do a better job. We do it collectively.
What is your message to Jets fans about what they are getting in you as an interim head coach?
I'm going to be me. Love this game. I've been part of the NFL for over 20 years now as a player and a coach. All I know is how to be me. And I'd like to say that that's someone that relates to the players. I think playing has helped me do that at times. An unwavering standard of play. I'd like to think that what you've seen on our defense is a reflection of all of that. So it's just, I'm just going to be me every day and bring a level of my authenticity and my energy and my toughness and my grit and my experience in this league. And from that standpoint, I'm very excited about connecting with this locker room and elevating everybody.
Any more questions for Coach Ulbrich?
I think you went through this with Atlanta in 2020, a midseason coaching change. Am I right?
We did, yes.
What what can you learn from that experience of just kind of this sudden change, for lack of a better word, in the middle of the season, and how to handle it?
You know, I think the biggest thing, and actually Aaron and I spoke about this earlier today, about there has to be an element of change. You know, the players have to feel that, whether that's our process, whether that's scheduling meetings, practice, night before games, whatever that is, there has to be a change bigger than just me now assuming the head coaching role. So we're going to take a hard look at all that we do and the process in which we get to Monday night and make the changes we think are necessary.
We'll take a couple more questions.
When you take this deep dive into the offense and how to distribute the roles, how much will you lean on Aaron for input into who to make the play caller?
I think Aaron's going to be a part of a lot of conversations. You know, obviously he has a lot of insight regarding this offensive system and he's been a part of it when it's been, you know, operating at the highest level. So responsibilities and roles and all that, we're going to take a hard look at all of it, the process included. Again, guys, this is 4 hours ago I was told this, so still processing all this information, and I promise once I get clarity that you guys will know about it. You know, I want to open this up with.
All right, so there you go. That's Jeff Ulbrich and Woody Johnson from yesterday. We're back, baby. Jake Asman Show continues. Best way to support me. A lot of you have reached out after yesterday's record-setting show. Join the Patreon, baby. Be part of our Discord, our growing community there. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show for just less than a cup of coffee a month. You get all the perks you hear me talking about, your name in the intro, bonus shows, Discord access, 15% off every item in the merch store, and a whole lot more. Thanks to everyone who just listened to me on ESPN Radio. I just went on Greeny. Greeny wasn't on, but I still went on. Hembo and Q were the two people I had the honor and privilege of speaking with. All right, show will continue now. Let's get to some super chats, your calls, anything Jet related on your mind. Aaron Rodgers will be on McAfee today. I'll have a reaction video on that, I'm sure, at some point in the afternoon, so stay tuned. We'll see what he says. Carlos writes in, honestly, JD will end up being known as the guy who saved the Jets. I hope you're right. They got to win. They got to win. Make the playoffs this year, end the playoff drought, and we'll see what it looks like. And this team should be better than making the playoffs. Let's go, man. Matthew wants to know, were you typing in the background? No, that was from the conference call. That wasn't me. Someone in the media was typing in the background. You heard it. All right, more of your calls on the Gusbuster hotline if you want in on the conversation. The Hamburger's next. Hamburger, what do you got for us?
Hey, good morning, Jake. How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, good. Well, my Mets fans out there. Good win last night for the Mets. Alonso hitting
a great win.
Oh, man, that was good. So after yesterday, going to sleep, had some time to think and really listen to the Woody Johnson conference and Ulbrich. I feel a little better about it. I think, what I want to see from the team this weekend is I want the offensive line to be coming off the ball and making their blocks. Give Aaron some time. I'm praying, man. I'm praying like the rest of us. I think Woody it was a pretty snap decision by him. I think Joe Douglas was in on it. I think he talked to him more than he let on. I think he talked to Aaron more than he let on. I get it. I understand it. There's enough BS in the media right now. But what I want to hit on is Davante Adams and what you think. My thought is that the Saints were really in on Davante Adams. Now, you watch Thursday Night Football, he goes down. I think the Raiders looked at that and went, okay, let's hold on. Let's wait to see the outcome of Derek Carr. They find out yesterday that Derek Carr is not going to come back and play for a few weeks. I think now the Raiders are panicking because now they don't really have anything to drive up the price. I heard some things about possibly Baltimore. I'm not sure. I don't know how factual that is. I think they're just waiting. I think they're waiting on to see if anybody else is going to bite. And Joe Douglas is sitting back, and I think he's really only prepared to take on the money and give a third round. And I think that's what he's going to get. And I think that's why he's sitting back. I think the Raiders are panicking right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's something to what you're saying. Like, I don't think there's this great demand for Davante because teams don't want to bring in a disgruntled player who wouldn't want to be there. It's a lot of money for a guy who could be a rental. I don't know if he wants to wield his power. He says he's only going to redo his deal for the Jets, and I think that helps to leverage here. Look, we know Douglas could take his time with these type of deals. I think there needs to be an extra sense of urgency, though, especially after yesterday when you're clearly doing something unconventional because of your belief in the team. So I do agree with you, though. I think the Raiders are trying to leak it out there. Oh, this team could be interested in this team. And I don't know if that team actually exists besides the Jets at this point.
I don't think so either. I think they're just trying to get whatever they can for the deal. So, but you guys have a great day. I'm about to head out, and I'm going to Citi Field. Let's go Mets tonight. And I'll see everybody at the parking lot on Sunday, and I'll talk during the week.
Make sure you know it's Monday, Hamburger. Just don't want you to
I
show
know
up
it's
and no
Monday.
one's there.
It's my it's my birthday.
That's right.
So I'm good to go. Hey, have a good day, guys. See you later.
Hamburger checking in off the Citi Field. What an electric crowd yesterday. I just saw this, Met fans. Daniel Murphy throwing out the first pitch. You know, the guy who listens to the show and always calls in? He's throwing out the first pitch today before Mets-Phillies Game 4. Mets have a chance to clinch something at home for the first time since they won the division in 2006. And I believe it's the first time they could clinch a playoff series at home since the NLCS in 2000. Pittsburgh Mike writes in, nice job on ESPN, Jay. Question for you. What changes do you think Ulbrich will make that might be beneath the surface, i.e. practice schedule, playing guys like Curley, etc.? I think, well, it's tough to know about the practice schedule stuff because I don't know what the schedule is now, right? We're not privy to that. The media doesn't get to watch practice once the season starts. They get to watch stretching and warm-ups, and then they're told to go inside. As far as what changes we could see, maybe a more aggressive style on defense. Maybe we see Sauce shadow more because I think this was more of a Saleh philosophy with some of that stuff, and Ulbrich would kind of execute that vision. I think it's just like an energy thing, man. Like the personality of your team comes from the head coach. I've heard many people say that, including a former Jet and Willie Colon yesterday. So I think it might be something like just they start faster in the first quarter. It's been an alarming trend how bad they've been in these games. Like maybe there's less penalties, or if someone does commit a penalty, they get yanked out of the game. We see guys held accountable. If Lazard has some bad drops, maybe he's benched. Like stuff like that. I think that's kind of the stuff we're talking about here. Open phone lines for anyone who wants in on the conversation. Look, there's one thing that Ulbrich immediately has to fix right away. It's how can this team figure out how to run the football better? Because this team was built around Rodgers playing well, efficient, and being like a Hall of Fame level game manager. Like the Tennessee game, for example. When you needed him to be Aaron Rodgers, he was 5 for 5 on the game-winning drive, and he won you the game. He was masterful against New England. But then these last two games, you have no running game, and he's throwing way too much. I mean, he threw 54 times on Sunday in London. It was disgraceful. That can't happen. This is what I think Ulbrich brings, though. I think the team will come out, maybe start faster because the head coach is getting them ready to come out with energy.
Today, hold my fist, make it come to life. You control that. You love this game, demonstrate that shit by how hard you strain. And the passion you play with, guys. When you make a play or your teammate makes a play, celebrate that shit today. Celebrate it. Mind, execute. Don't make shit up. Guys, trust your training. Trust your training. And then fist. In the fourth quarter, these flinch and they tap on us. Remember this, guys. A teammate, I'll die for. My brother, I'll kill for. Let's kill for today. Let's break this down. Let's go. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Kill on 3. 1, 2, 3. Kill.
I mean, I like that. I'm bricked up, baby. Hit that Ulbrich emoji. Let's go. I mean, if Ulbrich's slogan was all gas, no break, I'd believe it. Like, that was my big thing with Saleh. It's like, it's all gas, no break, but you look defeated. You look deflated. We're making excuses at the podium after these games. Like, we need some... Ladies and gentlemen, I am 6 subscribers from 39,000. We have gained more subs this month than any month prior. Jet fans, you guys are incredible. If you're one of the 946 people watching live right now, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I would love to hit 39,000 live on the air with the best fan base in sports. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Let's say hello to Jay Graves, who's up next on the Gusbuster Hotline today. What's up, Jay Graves?
What's up, Jake? Hey, so talking about what Ulbrich will bring and what I forget who you said that the team was coming out like Saleh. I actually watched the Garrett Wilson interview on Barton Hog, that stupid about the route tree. From the beginning, he looked generally annoyed to be there. He looked pissed off, and I was like, shit, like, this is one of our best young dudes, and he's looking like this. Like, so that's why I was so excited when they fired Saleh. Like, I think Garrett and all the core 4 will have a new, like, let's get this going. And I trust Brick. I'm all bricked up. I think, like you said, he'll hold people accountable. Like, let's go. But yeah, when I saw that Garrett Wilson interview, I'm like, even before the route tree thing came out, that whole interview, he just looked friggin' annoyed. He was like, his whole, like, his demeanor. I mean, you can hear his tone on the broadcast, but just looking at him, like, I've watched him on Barton Hahn, like, in the past, like, year or two. I've never seen him this, like, just defeated. He looked defeated. And I was like, crap, that's like one of our number 1 receivers. And he looks defeated, like, this season's done. But here we go again. Bricks in, let's go.
Yeah, I think like Garrett has just been really frustrated how it hasn't clicked. Like, it's because it's been the same. Now we could say, well, what does firing Saleh do to fix that? I think it's just like an accountability thing, an energy thing. And I do think it hasn't been announced yet. I'm telling you, no one's told me this. I would be very surprised if Todd Downing is not the play caller on Monday. And I don't want to act like Todd Downing is Kyle Shanahan,
so.
But it can't be worse, man. And sometimes just doing something different, that's the spark you kind of need.
Well, like I'm telling you, I work with kids, and sometimes I would say, you throw that shit at the wall, something's going to stick. You just got to try stuff.
Yeah, I just said it on ESPN radio. Like, Woody Johnson's been a bad owner until proven otherwise. But sometimes a bad owner can make the right decision. And I think this ultimately is the right move to do it now rather than wait until after the Bills game. If you lose that, then you're 2-4, 2.5 games behind the Bills, and you have a head-to-head loss against them. Like, you do it now to give yourself a chance to salvage this season, which at 2-3 in the AFC is very much salvageable for the Jets.
I totally agree. I've always said, we are going to be shit until Woody Johnson sells the team. And the fact that he did this, I was like, okay, I see you, Woody. He, like you said, the Woody Johnson, his Woody was out yesterday.
Look, they don't call him Big Woody for nothing, Jay Graves. You know that. Big fella, super chat. Speaking of Woody Johnson, the big fella, how fitting. We were all gassed, no brakes with a seized engine. We just swapped out our old one and got a Hemi LFG. Did I say that right? I hope you're right, big fella. I like Ulbrich. This was the move to make if you were going to make the change. I didn't think Woody was going to do it until after the Bills game. I mean, it's so funny. If you watch the Beningo interview yesterday, we were just talking about how if they lose to the Bills, we think there's going to be a change. And then it happened as we were talking about that on the show, which, how many views are we up to on that, by the way? It's the most viewed Jet show we've ever done. I mean, you couldn't script it any better to have the most notable Jet fan in media over the years, in local New York media, on with me live as the news of all news breaks. 59,000 views. We're almost at 60K on the Joe B interview yesterday, which was the first hour, and then I stayed on for the next 4 hours to react in real time. M. King with a super chat. M. King, this is for you. All in for Brick. Biggest change we need is to get the plays in earlier and give AR a chance to review the defenses and change plays better. Hold players accountable. Hit the like button. M. King, I'm with you, man. Look, we're all behind Ulbrich. We don't know for sure if they got better. I actually think they did, but I don't know if they got worse. There's no way they got worse. You got to try something different, man. You have to. M. King is back with more. How about a 5-spot of channel membership? Bang! Bang! Let's go, baby. Jet up. Let's find out who got a membership from M. King. Skylar Dill, Nelson Morales, Mad Willie, Donna, and Kikuchi all receiving channel memberships. Let's go, baby. Brick up. Jerome, the Packer fan, is on the line. Jerome, you.
Yes.
Hello, Jerome.
I'm here. Could you hear me, Jake?
Oh, I hear you. You at the grocery store?
Yeah, just hold on with me 1 minute. I just got everything. Thanks.
No, this is more interesting.
Thanks. Oh yeah, yeah. That. Hold on, Jake.
This one.
Stay with me, Jake.
Total is today and the last time we do.
I got you.
You got it.
I got you. Okay, Jake, I'm here, man. I can talk now. I'm here. Yeah.
What'd you get at the grocery store? Anything good?
No, I made a delivery. And she signed off on some stuff and gave me a check. But yesterday I tried to get on, man, but it was real popping and live yesterday. You stayed on for like 4 hours, 5 hours.
Yeah, my bladder is not very in a great state because of it, but it needed to be done.
No, Woody, this was a tremendous, superb move. This is a superb move. It had to happen. Jay, the season is still early, and it's still salvageable.
Correct.
You guys couldn't afford to go 3 or 4 more games and trying to figure it out and see what was going to change or whatever. It's still salvageable. The AFC is still up in the air. This was the perfect time to make that move. Jeff Ulbrich, he is the guy. He's a better guy. Because Robert Saleh, I think the team was starting to take on his demeanor kind of. He has this nonchalant, I don't really care about it. There's no fire there. And that can rub off on the players. Jeff Ulbrich is a kind of get in your face, he's a fiery kind of guy. He strikes me as a fiery kind of guy. And that's something everybody can rally around. The season's still early. And as far as the players, Garrett, I told you guys it would take time because it took time for Davante to even develop into Davante. That didn't just click in Green Bay in the early years of Davante. Davante didn't come on to like 3 or 4 years in. Alan Lazard. We need to bump him down to number 4 because you guys need to get Davante. When Rodgers threw that drop that Lazard dropped, that interception happened right after that. If Lazard makes that play, that interception doesn't happen. That coming grinding down to the end, I think when Rodgers threw that pick to he was throwing to Garrett, wasn't it? It looked like he was kind of behind him.
Mike Williams.
Was it Mike Williams? If Davante is in that game, that's a back shoulder. That's a touchdown.
Or maybe they throw the flag for PI because the Jets certainly got called for a lot worse in that game.
Or at least that. Rodgers is forcing it. And that's why he's coming up with these interceptions because, guys not on tune with him. And he feels he has to, because he made some good throws, but he made 2 bad ones too. And so I think accountability has to go all the way around. But Jeff Ulbrich is the guy that can stand his ground. And he's not somebody that's easily moved. The team was starting to take Saleh's personality. That nonchalant, not when he first said, I don't think they should be punished or something, like kids or whatever, I knew right there. I'm like, no, y'all can't. He's not the coach going forward. Even if he would have lasted this year, he could have been the coach going into next year. They needed a change, and they did it at the right time. The
Well, you
season
can
is
say
still
that in year
salvageable.
1 or year 2 when we don't know like who you are yet, or don't know if like your philosophy is working. When you're saying that in year 4 with the most talent you've ever had, and it's still the same result, that's where you lose your team. And he lost a fan base after the Denver game.
And then he was starting to lose the team, and you could see him starting to lose the team. So
Yep.
no, Woody acted correctly. He didn't need to wait to Buffalo. So I think you guys now have to lock arms and really go into this thing. I still think y'all always do well against Buffalo, and it's just a matter of now. See, my eyes is on Nathaniel Hackett now. That might be the next move they need to make with him. If I'll say the next game or two, if he's looking kind of iffy,
I don't
they
think
may
he's
need
going
to
to be
make
the
a
play
change there.
caller. I don't think he's going to be the play caller. I think I'm not sitting there telling you Downing's good. He was bad in Tennessee, but I mean, he can't be worse than Nathaniel Hackett. There's just no way.
No. Sometimes you need a shake up, though, Jay.
Yep.
Just to spark things. You need a shake up. Sometimes you just have to see what you guys got. Throw some things out there. Some looks. Someone else. Other teams haven't seen. They can't prepare for it. You can kind of catch them off guard, and you kind of work that way as well. But I'm interested to see if they get Davante Adams. I think you guys going to need him. And
we do need him. I also need happiness, Jerome. So yes.
Yeah, no, y'all can get there. Woody did the right thing. The season is still salvageable. I figure y'all got wiggle room for another 2 or 3 games. And I'm not saying y'all should lose these next 2 or 3 games, but
8-4 gets them to 10-7. I think with the 5th easiest schedule remaining, they could do it.
I still think y'all can get there. And so we'll see what happens, what transpires going forward. But Jeff Ulbrich, I've always liked him. He's a guy. He can handle it.
Jerome, good luck on the road today, my man. Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Jerome the Packer fan checking in. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. The news of all news dropped yesterday live on the show. Joe, I am not messing with you with what I'm about to say. Adam Schefter is reporting the Jets have just fired Robert Saleh.
Wow. Wow. Are you serious?
I swear to you, I am seeing it all over now. Wow. What a moment. I got some sad news to share. I actually knew about this a couple hours ago, but it wasn't my place to share it. Former Jets defensive tackle Abdul Salam, who of course was a member of the New York Sack Exchange, passed away yesterday. Salam was 71. He had been battling health issues. Played with the Jets from 76 to 83. And obviously teamed with Mark Gastineau, Hall of Famer Joe Klecko, and Marty Lyons to form the most dynamic unit in the history of the Jets. So, some sad news. First member of the Sack Exchange to pass away. I had actually found out right before this show started, but I was waiting for the Jets or someone else to report on it. And Samiti, I'm reading from his Twitter account. He's the first I'm seeing to report on it. So rest in peace to Abdul Salam. Far too young to pass away at 71. R.I.P. Soldier of Peace. Abdul Salam. Non-sad news. Very odd. Brian Costello goes, interesting tidbit on Jeff Ulbrich. When he joined the Jets, he bought Adam Gase's house. I don't know if that means anything. Ulbrich's very good at what he does, but he lives in Adam Gase's house. Did he sage it before he moved in? Someone tweeted that's Costello's first ever scoop. That's pretty funny. That's not true, but that's funny. Man. Wild. All right. Fun show today, folks. Rodgers will be on McAfee in a little bit. I'll be back this afternoon to react to that or a potential Davante Adams trade. Before we get out of here, let's get to the super chat here from Who's Your Daddy. What is the percentage of GMs developing UDFAs? I'd like to see where Douglas is. I don't have that info in front of me. I mean, Douglas has done some really good things in that department, and Saleh gets some credit for that too. He's developed some really nice players on this team. He hired a really good defensive staff. It wasn't all bad with Robert Saleh. That's why he got this year. But ultimately, when you have this good of a team like we all believe, and it wasn't working out, I'd rather be too early with this than too late with this. That's my feeling. Zach Asman in the house. I have a feeling the Jets will get the ball to start the game on Monday night, and play calling is going to be tested immediately. Well, I can tell you this. The Jets, I think, in every game have not been able to put their defense on the field to start. I think they've lost the coin toss every time. Can we win the coin toss on Monday and put our defense on the field? I like the idea of being able to double up before halftime and then start of the third quarter. We'll see. As J-Quest says, beat the Bills, stop the noise. That's it, right? I mean, if the Jets win on Monday, everything gets quieted down. You're in first place if you win on Monday. That's what it comes down to. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Please keep checking the Discord, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show if you want to get in our private Discord. I'll let you know when we're going live this afternoon. What a day. What a last 24 hours being a Jet fan, huh? Unreal. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are awesome. Thanks for being part of the show. Let's see if we hit 39,000 subscribers live on the air. We did. Thank you. We just hit over 39,000 subs. Thank you all for your support. You guys are the greatest. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet and you're still one of the 778 people watching live, hit that button. It's free. It helps support the channel. Best way to support me is to join the Patreon, though. It's patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Thank you all for tuning in. We're back in a little bit. Jets football, baby. The pain may never end, but this fan base never stops. That's why it's the best in sports. Jets. Jets, Jets, Jets. Right now, what I need to have happen, Charles, I need you to put on the Gorman tank. It's Friday. The vibes are high. Put on the Charles Gorman-inspired Jake Asman Show tank top for the people.
I will, maybe next week.
What? Put it on. Put it on. Oh, my God, he's doing it.
Football is back, bitches.
Give us one more spin around, all right?
Give us the full modeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the ass. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Charles, would you like to respond to Gator? He says you look like you combed your hair with a pack of firecrackers. How come you didn't congratulate him?
I did on the baby. Yeah, he had a.
You didn't say this, though.
Hey, congrats on the sex.
Congrats on the sex. Oh, my God.
Yeah, how do you think babies are made?
No, it's funny. True story. When I was a kid, I actually thought I came from a stork. I shit you not, man. Like, you know, when you have all these dreams and shit, it's like, you know, here you go, here's your baby. That's what I thought happened to me when I was a kid.
So to be clear, you were not acquired via stork, right?
Yes, I was biologically made by my mother and father.
Dennis Gorman?
And my mother, Roseanne.
Shout out to them. They did a great job with you, Charles.
Was it sweet and passionate, or are you unaware of those details?
Why do I need to know those details? I
don't know. Maybe it would have. I mean, you wanted to know whether it was stork or baby making, so I don't know. Just figured you'd want intricate levels of detail.
My parents made love twice. They gave birth to my brother, and they gave birth to me.
Okay. Thank you very much for clearing that up.
And this is my nanny, babysitter, assistant, helper lady.
Hello.
Hello.
She goes to Oklahoma.
Morgan, how long have you been a nanny to Decker?
3 years. Since 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
You and Gary's wife have done a great job because there's no way Decker turned out the way she did because of Gary. I'm just catching up on some of the comments here, and this is for everyone. You know who you are.
Calm your freaky down.
Just saying. Eric says, good thing Jake didn't put Bobby on. Could you imagine? Some of these comments, man. Jake, you don't want to read the comments. Oh, it's true. I can't even read these comments, man. You guys are terrible. Gary, what are your thoughts on everyone seemingly being a big fan of your nanny?
She's fantastic. She's the best.
She is. That she is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. Gary's nanny needs her own emoji. This chat is going wild today, folks. All right. Richard Todd is watching the show in delay, says, just saw Gary's nanny. Interesting. What's so interesting about it? Top Cat says we need Scott to normalize the chat again. Anyone confusing you for Garrett Wilson? I mean, you had the number 5. Now you're rocking the number 6. Is there any confusion between you two on the practice field?
Listen, I can see where the mix-up comes. We are brothers, and we're family now. So it is cool seeing so many people with 5 jerseys in the stands. I'm assuming that's from last season's really awesome performance by me. He was so excited to get the jersey, and I was excited to give it to him. So it's all good.